Yo, it's the Master Connector coming at you, live and direct. This ain't AI, it's that real human connect. Yo, welcome to the Master Connector show, where the real ones pull up and the energy grow. Every Wednesday, 1 p.m. Eastern, we live. LinkedIn and YouTube, where the real ones vibe. Started back in 2020, now the movement legit. Hundreds of episodes, and we still never quit. Steve Spiro, the Master Connector on attack. Rob Genovesi, the brand builder, got his back. Two introverts, turned masters of connection. 28 years deep, built on trust and direction. No fake networking, no pin slapping attacks. We build real relationships, and that's all facts. Famous guests, athletes, authors, TEDx flames. Military leaders elevating the game. Pack 30 minutes, but the impact hits strong. Jump in the comments and connect all show long. Be authentic, stay others focused, have grit, build community strong.
Yeah, that's how we are.
Be authentic, stay others focused, have grit, build community strong.
What's up, everyone? Welcome to the Master Connector Show. I'm your co-host, Rob Genovesi, and we're so happy you're joining us today live. Coming at you live as we do every Wednesday, 1 p.m. Eastern Time. And look, live is where it's at. You want to be here live whenever you can, because the reason for that is you get to interact with us. You get to ask questions of our guests, ask questions of us. Doesn't matter. This is about connection. And if you can come on here and ask something and get it answered, that's partly connection here. But look, if you can't join us live, we understand. You're busy. You got things going on. You're making things happen. Listen, go to masterconnector.show and see the roster of people we have coming up in future lives. And again, it's every Wednesday, 1 p.m. But pick the person that you absolutely need to hear from live and get your questions answered. You know, I heard never leave an event with an unanswered question, because that could be the gap in between your knowledge that gets filled that helps you rise to the next level. And, you know, we got a great guest for you today. I'm excited about this. You know, we talk about online reputation and what people are saying about you. And I had a mentor say to me one time, you know, this is back when people were starting to really kind of get a hold of what social media can do for you, or when people didn't really know how to use it. And, you know, it's going way back a little bit. People were afraid of popping up on the internet because people are doing stupid things and the internet is forever. So he said to me, he goes, Rob, people only know what you tell them, which sounds pretty simple and stupid. Like, how, of course, people only know what you tell them. But think about this for a second. Whatever you want to be portrayed as, whatever you want to be known for, put that out there and don't put the garbage. So but we're going to dive in deeper to this stuff because we got an amazing guest who's absolute authority on this. But listen, Steve is the Master Connector, right? That's why we have the Master Connector show, because he's a master at connecting people. And I got to tell you, the amazing guests he brings on this show, I've connected with a lot of them for further things. We've done some things together. We connected on LinkedIn, of course, but in other ways, endorsements of my book. You know, these are things you get out of connections. You develop these bonds and these relationships. We're going to learn so much more about that today. But the reason I'm saying this is because Steve and I go back 28 years. You know, we started out two former shy guys, two introverts who overcame all that nonsense to build our own thing, host a show, write books, be speakers. We can do it. You can do it too. But listen, we are all connectors, but there's only one master connector. So let's bring him on, Mr. Steve Spiro. What's up,
Robbie
Steve?
G, how we doing there?
Good, man. How you doing, bud?
Oh, man. Interesting, fun run. Trying to get on live here, but it worked out okay. So appreciate you taking the helm for a little while. But yeah, excited to be on with y'all here. What's going on, everyone? Steve Spiro, the Master Connector, coming at you live and direct. And I want to get right into it because I'm excited for this show today. And, you know, I want to ask a question. What if the thing that determines your future isn't what you say about yourself, but what people say when you're not in the room? Ponder that for a bit, right? It's, you know, it's funny because a mentor of ours, and probably not the same mentor that Rob was mentioning, but he said, you know, are you doing things that if it showed up on the newspaper, and I don't know who reads newspapers anymore, right? We talk about old school, but if it shows up in the newspaper, on the front cover of the newspaper, you'd be proud of. So what you do in the dark, what you do around people, one person or 1,000 people, it doesn't matter. You know, I was fortunate enough, I was in a room full of incredible leaders. I did a keynote at an event. Shout out to Rebellion Marketing with Bryn, and just incredible facility. and got a chance to give a keynote there. And just it's funny because people like, hey, what's up, Steve? And I'm like, wow. So, and it's just when you do the right thing, it comes full circle. And again, to Rob's point, if you do the wrong thing, it's not a good thing, and that's going to come back as well. But just excited. So just let's embrace today's show. Get in the comments, connect with each other. Looks like we have on here Mary Yolaine, Marie Yolande. Okay, Yolande. That's how you pronounce her name. She's a really recent new friend, but a great woman to connect with. So get in the comments, connect with each other. But if you're excited, I want you to put in the comments, let's go, because I wanted Robbie G to introduce our guest. And with no further ado, Robbie G, pass to you, buddy.
All right, let's go. Shane Barker is the CEO and founder of TraceFuse, the first Amazon terms of service compliant negative review removal system. With more than 25 years of experience supporting Fortune 500 brands, Shane has earned recognition as one of the leading voices in marketing and brand growth. Today, his focus is helping Amazon sellers protect their reputations through ethical, data-driven solutions that remove non-compliant reviews while maintaining full compliance with Amazon policies. Please welcome to the show, Shane Barker. What's up, Shane?
Hey, what's going on, guys? How are you guys doing?
Good, man. Good to have you here. How you doing?
Hey, I'm doing. I'm on the show. Hey.
You are. You coming at some Northeasterners, the New Yorkers here. You gotta be ready. Talk about reputation.
I know.
Yeah.
I did some push-ups before I jumped on, so I should be ready, but we'll see. We don't know. Yeah.
That's awesome. Well, we're excited. I want to dive right into it. Just want to say, hey, welcome. Of course, amazing Yolanda is on here with us. It looks like someone from your network, Maru, is on here with us, and it looks like Justin is on here from your community. So excited to have some people. Hopefully, you'll come back and join us again. We're on every Wednesday at Eastern time. But let's dig right into it. I know a big part of this conversation is going to be about reputation, and that's a big part of what you do. So I want to ask a question here. So community, type in #reputation. And for those who are just joining our show, Justin, good having you on here. Listen, we're LinkedIn participants, not LinkedIn lurkers. So we want some participation. So put in the hashtag in the comments, #reputation. And here's a question for you, Shane. What do most business owners misunderstand about the connection between reputation and revenue?
Yeah, I think, it's funny. You guys were kind of touching on this earlier, talking about, hey, controlling the narrative, right? And putting stuff out there and making sure that the things that are going out there that you approve and that you understand what's going on there. I always tell people, like, listen, it's going to happen no matter what, right? I mean, it's, people are going to say stuff, whether that be good or bad. And so you have to figure out how you're going to handle that. And obviously that can affect revenue, right? There's things that can be said about you that could be untrue, that are false. That could be, ex-employees. It could be a competitor. Or it could also be an opportunity for you to be able to learn, right? If somebody's saying something about you online, maybe there's, you in a restaurant and your hostess is, yelling at everybody, and you get 5 people that say, hey, we were there, and guess what? We were getting cussed at by the hostess. Well, that's not a good thing, right? That's probably your restaurant's not going to continue if you have those types of issues. So absolutely, the things that are being said online, once again, whether they're good or bad, is going to affect your revenue, right? And I always tell people, hey, if you want to put your head in the sand and not look, that is a tactic. I'm not saying that's the best tactic. I'm not saying that's going to work. But at the end of the day, things are still going to be said, right? So you have to address those things, and you have to be out there. And I think, how you address them and how, what foot you want to put forward about how you address things that are being said is going to be very, very important, right? You don't want to come in yelling at people and acting super crazy, because people are going to be looking at this and saying, hey, in those situations, the person that wrote the review really wins, because they want to show you that you're this and you're a bad owner, you're this. And if you come in sideways and say all kinds of crazy stuff, that's probably not going to be too good for your brand and what you've got going in regard to your business. Now, I'm not saying go take punches all day long and not, stick up for your brand. There's a delicate balance there of being a good owner and also understanding what's going on and learning from either reviews or what people are saying about you online. But it absolutely affects revenue.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah. And I was funny because I was looking at a couple apps I was thinking about getting, and one of the apps I looked at had a negative review, and I saw the comment from the developer, and it was actually very appreciative, even though it was a pretty bad review, but it was appreciation. And I respected that they weren't very super defensive, but they were appreciative,
Yeah, and that's really what it comes down to. Because if you come in and say, "Hey, you don't know what you're doing. You're an idiot. You downloaded the app. You're obviously not using it right. It took me 5 years to build this." That's not, nobody's going to go, "Oh yeah, I think I want to download the app now because this guy sounds like he's rational and sane," right? Really, what you want to do is say, once again, I appreciate constructive feedback. Obviously, it hurts a little bit in a public forum, but I do appreciate it because there is value. Everybody, whether you start a product or service 5 or 10 years ago, it's probably a very different service than it was 5 or 10 years ago. So we evolve because of constructive criticism, because of what's being said. What you don't want to do is get in a situation where somebody's saying crazy stuff and you don't address it for 2 weeks, and now it's already hit the media, it's already hit all these outlets, where guess what? Now it's a situation, now you're behind the 8 ball trying to figure it out.
I know that sometimes I'm sure this is probably not an us thing in my household, but I'm kind of like I'm kind of like the tech guy for my house, right? Everybody comes to me, and a lot of times, what do we find out? It's, my wife knows, it's called the UE, right? It's user error. So when something goes wrong, she goes, "It broke. It's bad. I hate this thing." And I look at it and I go, "It's probably a UE." And the first time I said it, she's like, "What is that?" I said, "It's a user error." No, I didn't do anything wrong. So how much of the time is it, a user error that's giving a bad review and they think it reflects on whatever the service and product is? And how do you address that?
Yeah, those are hard, right? I mean, once again, there can be a learning lesson that if a lot of people are having the same issues, it's always hard to tell, right? If there's one person that says, "Hey, this doesn't work, I wasn't able to figure this out." If you have 5 people that say it, you have to assume that there's an issue there, right? If it's just one, they could not be good with tech. They could just, not know how to do certain things. If you hear it over and over and over, then there's an issue, right? There's something you need to do. You need to include a QR code that will maybe do an explanation on, once again, how to use the product. It depends on what you have, right? If I have a mug, I don't need to necessarily show somebody how to pour coffee into a mug and drink it. I would like to think that just as humans, that
you might
figure that out. Well, yeah, I mean, there's some people, just be careful. Just don't spill it on your crotch or anything, because you don't want to make it super awkward, right? But at the end of the day, it's like, but there's other things that if you're bringing something to market that needs a little more explanation, right? That's not going to be a mug or a hat or a shirt or anything like that, where you're going to have to figure that out. It's important to test ahead of time and find out where people have issues, right? Don't give it to your wife that has been building this product up for 5 years. She's going to have certain insider knowledge, right? So what you want to do is get somebody else to use it and say, "Hey, how to use this product. This is what we're going to provide to them." And they go, I don't know what to do. Okay, great. Let's talk about that, right? So you want to be able to test that. But I will tell you this, one thing you have to realize is that if you're launching a product or a service, if people start hating, or you feel like there's some hatred or some people that are saying some things about you, it's going to happen. Like, once you make it to a certain point, you're not going to satisfy everybody. And so if you get one bad review and you don't sleep for 2 weeks, I'm not saying this isn't made, you're not made for this industry or what, things you might be doing. Just know that you just got to figure out how to address that. And I always tell people, you get a lot of positive reviews in the beginning, gives you a nice foundation. When somebody writes a bad review, you're not, the product hasn't tanked because all they see is one bad review, right? And also how you address that is important as well.
Yeah. Yeah. I think we're in a world where it's 1.1 version 1.1, 1.2, 1.3, right? I think we're starting to get used to that. Things are kind of work in progress. Not in the case of a mug, right? You got your mug. Your mug is your mug, right? Not going to improve it, over time. But I think there's some understanding to that. But I want, by the way, community, we're talking about what people say about you, and the context of that being not like a gossipy way, but more of kind of your reputation side of things. So let's continue on. And I believe, a big part of what I speak about is in the sales realm is why Master Connector, why connection, why human connection, because people do business with people they know, like, and trust. And so I want to talk about trust a little bit. So community, type in #trust. So here's the question, how can leaders build trust before they actually need it?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a number of different ways you can do that, right? I mean, trust is something that is hard to get, but is easy to lose, right? And so that's what you have to be really careful of. One thing you have to realize when building trust is that, not everybody's going to trust you, right? Some people have a natural thing, go, hey, I really trust that guy. Other people go, I don't know, he seems a little weird. I don't know if I trust that guy. And that's okay, right? You're not going to get everybody to trust you. I look at it like by building trust is offering value to your audience, right? And giving them, not always trying to sell people stuff, and not always, the idea of it is that you want people to come in, and when I say, hey, you should go try this software, I want my community to know that, hey, this is something that I'm vouching for, right? This isn't just something that I'm randomly putting out there, because you start to lose a little bit of that trust, right? If this week I'm saying, oh my God, this is the best hotel I've ever stayed at. Next week I go, oh my God, this is the best hotel. The next week, hey, this is the best hotel. And it's like, okay, like which one was the best hotel? Like, right. If I want to stay at one of those in that area, not everything can be the best thing ever, right? So you have to, if you overextend yourself on everything's the best, then it starts to erode a little bit, right? And going, is he doing this for payment? Is he doing it because he got a free hotel? Does he really like that? And it's very easy if people start to go, I just feel like this guy can be bought for $1. That's when you start to erode when it comes to trust and different things you've got going on. Once again, I'm going to reiterate, trust is hard to get, but once you get it, it's very easy to lose. And that can be, once again, online reputation. It could be somebody saying something that could be untrue. Somebody could read that and then not follow you, not buy things, not do things because they've heard something that potentially isn't true. And so you've got to make sure you're assessing what people are saying and how you're going to take a look at that, especially with cancel culture and a lot of different things that go on.
Yeah. Yeah, folks, we're speaking to Shane Barker of Trace Fuse, incredible company and leader here. So, one of the things that I think, Rob, you spoke a little bit about before was integrity. And how important to have integrity is. I think it's important because when it's all said and done, there's two things. I heard this said, there's two things that we leave behind, kind of our family. Hopefully you have some, your reputation. Right. And so integrity is so important because, again, what's that looking like when you're no longer around? So here's my question. So can you type in hashtag integrity? And thanks again for the participation. You guys are doing amazing. But Shane, so why does playing by the rules ultimately create a bigger advantage than taking shortcuts?
Yeah. I mean, I think, we are always tempted and, at least in the US culture to take shortcuts, right? I mean, nobody wants to do the 7-second app. I want the 3-second app because I don't, I'm not saying people are lazy. I'm just saying that everybody's looking for something magical, right? A lot of people, not everybody, don't when you put in the work, right? So at the end of the day, everybody's kind of looking for not an easy way out, but an easier way to do things. And I think when it comes to integrity and when it comes to obviously putting yourself out there, you want to make sure that you're putting in the full effort, right? If you're going and you're going to start cutting corners and doing things, if you're just looking to make a quick buck, okay, then I guess that's one way to do things. I'm more on the side of building a brand and looking for longevity, right? Yeah. And something that maybe potentially I want to sell one day, and I want people to also believe in what I'm putting out there. So if I put my name on it, I want people to know that I would hope that my audience knows that, hey, that my integrity is very high in the sense that if I'm vouching for a company or I'm saying, hey, this is something you should take a look at, then, there we go. But the long haul is always what I recommend in regards to, hey, maybe you want to put in 6 months, you want to test it and see how things go. I'm not saying you have to do it for 5 years and fail the whole time. You got to figure out, what makes sense for you to be able to test. But, you definitely want to go, once again, for me would be go for the long haul, right? I don't want anything short and, that I'm going to maybe lose in a week or two. I want something that I'm going to build like as a brand, something that I can, sell or that I can put on the market. And then if people know, once again, if I put my stamp of approval on it, that I'm serious about it and that I've looked into it.
And these two go hand in hand, trust and integrity, right? We talk about how to build trust. Well, have integrity. Right. Because the whole idea, brand is my world. That's the world I live in. And when you think about your favorite reliable quality brands, there was a great book written by Stephen H.R. Covey called The Speed of Trust. And when trust is high, business moves faster, right? Yeah. Because you don't have to hammer out a lot of legal details to make sure that the other guy upends his end of the bargain. And so when you have integrity, the trust goes up. And so when you're talking about your brand and the longevity part over time, right? I'm a long guy too. I go along with everything. The short-term ups and downs, I don't really care. But I'm also a person who hates to waste time. And you waste time when you're constantly, like you said, if you're out for the quick buck, if you want the win tomorrow, you could get it potentially. But what's the price you're going to pay? You're going to have to keep doing that because there's no integrity. Can't trust you. You're going to have to keep changing your name or something. So these two things go hand in hand. And I would say that long game, I hate wasting time. So if you don't want to waste time, but play the long game, because I hope you want to be successful long term, people, not just this year so you can flex in front of your new Ferrari. But, you should be flexing that you don't have to go to work if you don't want to. That's the biggest flex in my opinion. So integrity and trust, absolutely hand in hand. I love the long-term aspect, Shane.
Yeah.
Love it. It's great. Well said, Rob. We're in a world today with technology and data, and it's, you said this, the Stephen Covey book, which is great. I've read that book, The Speed of Trust. I was speaking about technology doesn't win. Businesses don't move at the speed of technology. They move at the speed of human connection. That was my main point of my talk yesterday, my keynote. But data is still important, right? There's a lot of value to that in terms of understanding your market, knowing what moves are working, what not. So let's talk about data. Hashtag community, hashtag data. So Shane, what metrics should businesses pay more attention to when they're evaluating growth?
Yeah, I think one of the things they got to watch out for is what we call vanity metrics, right? So it's one thing if you've hired an agency and you're looking at things like that's awesome to get clicks and it's awesome to get, all these amazing things, but really what moves the needle, right? That's really what it should come down to, assuming that's what you want to do, right? I have to assume most businesses are hiring a marketing company because they want to increase sales. That's probably a high percentage of them. Right. And what does that look like, right? Like I've seen that growing up in the SEO space, and in influencer marketing as well. In the SEO space, I would see these reports that people would send, and they're like, "Hey, you're on the first page for Farfanugan," and it's like, well, but who cares? Like, I don't sell Farfanugans. I don't even know what a Farfanugan is, right? But it's like you'd see these things, and they're like, "Oh, but yeah, but we're number 6 for these keywords," and it's like, well, are those your keywords? Like, well, no, but we're on the first page, and I'm like, yeah, but who's going to, if you're not selling Farfanugans and somebody's looking up Farfanugans, that's a disconnect there. So, what we look at there is when it comes to that is like, you really want to look at, once again, what moves the needle and what are you going to do and have realistic expectations. That was one big thing when I would talk to potential, clients that I'm want to work with. I would have qualifying questions, and because my goal at the end of the day was to find out if you were going to be potentially a good lead for me as well, right? Not only do you want to hire me as a consultant, but I also want to make sure your expectations are good, right? So if somebody says, I say, hey, what is your budget? And they say, hey, $10,000, and what do you want to do? And well, I'd like to make $5 million, and I'm like, yeah, me too. Like, that sounds awesome. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
how do we do
10
that?
grand to make 5 million. Yeah. Like if I could do that, like I would absolutely do that, but I would probably charge you a lot more than 10 grand, just so you know. But yeah, so that's, when it comes down to that, I mean, knowing the expectation, and when it comes to the data and what makes sense for you, be realistic about what that might look like. Because things take time, right? It's not going to happen overnight. You're not going to get 1 million sales. The idea of marketing is that we try different things. You want to give it a test period, 3 months, 6 months, whatever that is, but know how you're going to test it. But what is going to, once again, in your world, move the needle, right? Is that going to be sales? Is that more branding exposure? Is that going to be getting on podcast? Is it like you want your site to be number 1? What are we looking at there? What is your, what we call KPIs or key performance indicators? And once again, what moves that needle and what makes sense for you to be able to use as a parameter or a goal to be able to understand if you actually hit that goal?
Yeah. So like, for the audience, Shane's incredibly intelligent, understands this stuff, right? I am not. I'm a very simple guy, and I have to keep it simple. And there's a lot that we can get lost in. I'm very kind of hyper analytical, Shane. And so sometimes I get lost in a lot of the metrics because of all the chatter around them. If we're talking about LinkedIn, people are they're absolutely hooked on followers, and they're hooked on likes. And as many times as we hear that is not really a great metric to look at, because like you said, vanity, if you don't know what vanity metrics are, they're the metrics that make you feel good, but don't really put any money in your bank account. So I would say what you're talking about, the KPIs, key performance indicators, right? People need to identify what it is in their business that directly attributes to the money in the bank, right? This is the way I think. I'm like, I don't understand business and jargon and terms, but when you talk about that, what's the thing that makes the money come into the account, right? Followers do not equal, likes do not equal. It doesn't really matter, right? So we're talking about things. When you say that, you're talking about things that impact the income, the revenue, right?
Yeah, that's what you want to look at. I mean, really. So I'll give you an example. So we were just talking about this earlier, Rob. So my LinkedIn, I get about 1 million impressions a month, right? So the reason I'm telling you this is it's not a vanity metric, but I understand that I have some exposure there, but I don't care about those million eyeballs, or I guess it would be 500,000 eyeballs, assuming everybody has 2, right? I don't know. Assuming everybody does. I don't know the true numbers, but my point is, if I'm not getting any sales from that, or if there's not something that some value that I'm providing there, I'm providing it for my audience. I get that. But at the end of the day, when I do demo meetings for Trace Fuse or any of my companies, I ask them, how did you hear about me? Because I want to know. So I want to be able to attribute that. If I'm putting in X amount of money and time into LinkedIn, and that's 50% of my time, well, guess what? That should, in theory, over time, if I've been doing it for long enough, that should equal a good percentage of my business, right? And so do I want to continue if it's taking up my time, which is the same thing as money, right? Time is actually more valuable than money. Does that make sense? Am I getting the most bang for my buck, right? But you got to give it the right amount of time. I can't say, hey, I'm going to be on LinkedIn for 1 week. I'm hoping to crush it, get to 1 million, people, and then great, awesome things will happen. You got to give it time, right? So we give it that time. When I talk to people, I say, hey, how did you hear about me? I just had a guy yesterday, actually 2 guys yesterday. Hey, I've seen you on LinkedIn. I've seen a lot of your posts about, online reputation management, mainly about Trace Fuse, which is for Amazon sellers. And I decided to reach out. Well, guess what? Those were big brands, right? But I wouldn't have gotten that if I would have only done it for a week or even 2 weeks. I've been doing this consistently for the last year and a half. Now it's starting to bear a good amount of fruit for me because of the effort that's put in. But just know, anything of value is going to take time.
Love that. That's great. Yeah, this show flew by. It's crazy, but so I want to just mention. I want to talk about legacy a little bit. And I was a few weekends ago. I was down in Philly. I may have shared this with some of the community already, but I was down in Philly for a Guinness record book signing. The book was called Legacy in Ink. I'm one of the authors in there, and we have the most amount of authors signing a book at the same time. We broke the Guinness record. It was pretty cool. I was a keynote there. It was awesome. I appreciate that. And so you can get that book if you want. A little small plug on the book. But I do want to talk about legacy as we're closing the show down. So maybe we could tie this question, Shane, into any closing thoughts and best way to community to reach you. So community, type in #legacy. And here's the question for you, Shane, and wrap it into a close if you like. What do you hope people say about you when you're not in the room? And how could the best way to reach them and reach you? And any final thoughts here?
Yeah, I think legacy for me is very important, just in the sense of doing the right thing. I've always been somebody in regards to business that, I want to treat businesses fairly, and I want them to enjoy our services and the things that we do. I think my integrity and the way that I treat people and knowing that, we don't screw people over, that we do good business and we're here to help people. That really for me is my legacy, is like, money and all that stuff. When I was younger, it was big. Oh, I got to have this, and materialistic. And, there was certain things that I wanted to check boxes because I had a very frugal family. I wanted to have a nice car and this, that, and the other. And then when you get there and it's like, okay, there's got to be something bigger. I mean, that's why you look at people that get parks named after them and hospitals and all this stuff. That's building a legacy. Now, I'm not saying all those people are amazing people because they got a park named after them, and I don't really care about a park being named after me. What I care about is that if somebody says, hey, Shane Barker, and they know who I am, I want it to be synonymous with a good business owner, somebody that treated people fairly, that gave back to the community, and that really has a big heart. I mean, I was raised by hippies, so not that all hippies are great, but I'm just saying I was a hugger, and for me, it's like I want people to know that at the end of the day, that I'm going to treat your business like I would treat my mom's business or somebody that I cared about's business, and at the end of the day, that I do have your best interests in mind, and I care about performance. Money's important too, but it's not the number one concern for me as much as it was when I was younger. Now I'm very specific on who I take on and who I work with. And once again, this is you guys, and I know that we're at the end of this thing because it goes so fast when we have great conversation. I'll let everybody know where they can get in contact with me as well, because I know we're at the at the end of this thing. So you guys can put Shane that's SHANE at either shanebarker.com, which is my main website, or Shane at tracefuse.ai. That's going to be my personal email address. And then once again, you guys, as you know, some of you guys are listening to us on LinkedIn right now. Please follow these guys and also follow myself on LinkedIn. My LinkedIn is just put in Shane Barker. You'll see a guy with almost a full head of hair, not a full head, just I'm a little bald, but love you, Steve. But and then you can see the guy with the big old red beard. Yeah, I'm a BC. You can look good bald like that. I don't. I got like bumps and screwed. I got hit by a 2x4. Not from a client. This was when I was racing bikes when I was 7 years old. But anyways, yeah, you guys can reach out to me at any time. And you guys, thank you so much for the opportunity again.
Shane, it was a pleasure. Really appreciate you being on here. Well, if you want to hang out in the green room a couple of minutes, I'd love that. So appreciate you big time.
All right,
Thank
buddy.
you. All right. Awesome stuff. Wow. Well, if you like that one, which it's going to be hard to beat, next week, same bad time, same bad channel, the 24th of June, episode 266, going from confused to confident with James Feldman. It's going to be a great show. Don't miss it. And if you're interested in learning more about the Master Connector Show, upcoming episodes, we're booked out all the way until March of 26. I don't think it's posted 27. Not booked on the show or put on our website, but there are a lot of the future shows are. Go there, masterconnector.show, as well as you want to be a sponsor of an episode or you want to learn how to be a speaker, you can go there as well. And check out Rob's book, Don't Fear the Brand. Amazing book. I just saying, it's in my bathroom. It's a bathroom reading must and for most people. Quick read, by the way. Anyway, I want to close with a story. I know we're going a little long here, but hey, when hotel entrepreneur Conrad Hilton was a young man, he dreamed of owning the greatest hotel in the world. During the Great Depression, he nearly lost everything, but he refused to compromise his standards for his commitment to serving or his commitment to serving, people. Years later, Hilton built one of the most recognized hospitality brands in history because he understood that reputation, trust, and service always outlasts difficult seasons. So today, remember, your character is being built long before your success is recognized. So let your actions speak so loudly that your reputation opens doors before you ever knocked on them. We heard it said years ago, what you say speaks so loudly that what you say I can't hear. Make sure that you are saying and doing everything you say is in line. So go out and be a beacon of light, and let's go change the world. God bless. We'll see you next week.
Yo, welcome to the Master Connector Show, where the real ones pull up and the energy grow. Every Wednesday, 1 p.m. Eastern, we love so long.